Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Bob Builds, where every week I'm adding a little bit more to this map I'm making for a PvP tournament we're going to be doing at some point whenever it's finished. This week I'm building a mine, a kind of pit mine. So, I'm going to have mine carts and little various buildings, and what you can see me building here is like a large, I'm not really sure what they're called really, but like a kind of winch tower or something. I imagine this would be to lift lift like a big elevator to lift the mine carts full of coal down from the bottom of the mine. And it's just an excuse to do something that looks kind of cool and is quite big. People can spawn in the map, and then, when they're released from the center building, which we haven't built yet, this is another big thing that they can go, oh look at that across there, let's run across and see what that's all about. But this was quite difficult to do because it's like trying to make scaffolding out of Minecraft blocks. And alright, we've got stairs, so you can either do straight lines or you can do 45 degrees, and anything else apart from that it looks a bit weird. But here I've managed to do, I think it looks okay, and that's me trying to add like a kind of rope there, but a fence is really the closest thing we've got, and so I just deleted that. You just have to imagine that. But once I'd got this completed, this little tower, this was like the centerpiece for everything else, and I could then start building all the other, the small outbuildings, the elevated track for the mine carts. None of this will actually work. I could maybe set it so mine carts automatically are transported or come up or something, I'm not quite sure. But really this is just a cool place for players to run and hide, and just an extra few buildings for them to explore. I'm not sure how deep I'm going to make the mine, and how much I'm going to let players into. Because if this is a map where everyone's got to find each other and kill each other, someone could go hide underground and stay there for the whole map. It kind of defeats the point a bit. But maybe I could hide, I don't know, something cool down there. This is just a little building, not really sure what this is for. Maybe like a kind of powerhouse or something that could power the winch. I'm not really sure. I remember going to go visit things like this when I was little, and so I don't know, this is just from memory. But that's a great thing with Minecraft. It doesn't need to make sense, doesn't need to work. You're not building an actual working, functioning city. You're just building stuff that you think looks cool and you think will be fun. So you can see here, I've finished the roof now, added a couple of chimneys, lights, wheels inside, and even though you can't really see it very clearly, added like a kind of a furnace engine style thing. And just a few little details out around the back of it as well. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just creating like a little railway running from the lift, so when the carts would, I imagine the carts would come up from the mine, and then they'd run along this little elevated bridge along to another building where, say, I don't know, the coal sorted or whatever they do. I started making this with like kind of scaffoldings using fences because I wanted it to be elevated. But as you can see, I changed that and put brick supports in instead, because fences are cool, but it just looked a bit weird, it looked a bit too spindly. Because when you think about it, stuff needs to be believable, it needs to be feasible. I know it's Minecraft where you can build anything you want, but if you build something that doesn't look like it would stand up, it just looks a bit shit. So you can see here I've added a little bit of detail to the outside of it, extended the minecart track into the building, and as I said, changed all the supports for brick. So what I'm doing here is just adding like a kind of just simple stairway for people to run up into this building. What you can see there as well to the right hand of the screen is just a little bit, I don't know what that would be for, maybe minecarts to tip out just stone or stuff they don't need, I don't know, but again, just adding a little bit more detail. But I'm quite liking this so far. It's a different style from everything else that's been built in the map so far, and I think it'll be a nice surprise if people are wandering around the map and find this little complex and they can run about and explore it. So here I'm just adding a little wall just to kind of square off this area, and then because it's right next to the forest, I add a couple of trees, and as you'll see later on, I go back and add a lot of trees dotted around, because at the end of the day, I mean, this whole map I made myself using world edit brushes, so you need to make it look a bit more natural. It looks a bit plain, it looks a bit artificial if there's no trees and there's no grass, there's no flowers. So as you'll see by the end of the video, I've actually gone around and just used bone meal and saplings and just made it look a little bit more interesting. What I'm building here is like a processing building, or I'm not sure, just like a big factory basically. This is going to have huge chimneys that can be seen, from any point in the map. And you see I've got coal there on a little like conveyor belt going from one building to the other. I tried doing like a 3-tiered like spiked roof, and it was all slanted one way. I don't know how to describe that, but I settled with this one instead because it was just quite difficult to do. And you can see here I'm just adding chimneys, 2 big chimneys. I probably made them a bit too big, but I don't know, I'm quite happy with the finished result. And then I went back and just finished off the roof. Afterwards, though it's not shown in this video, I've added some detail inside, just like finished off the chimneys, put furnaces in them, added some, like coal blocks as if that's where they're stored, and just added things for players like crafting tables and chests hidden away. So here you can see the 2 large chimneys, which I've added on top, which I think look quite cool. And the wall you can see I've extended around there, and there's a lot more trees here. I tried to position them where they'd actually grow. Like for instance, there's cliffs around there, so I wouldn't put trees on the edge of the cliffs because you think, wind would be blowing in and trees probably wouldn't grow that well there. So it's on all the dips and the valleys that the trees have been grown. And here you can just see all the buildings just from a different angle. And I just tried to make it a little bit more interesting, using stone bricks up the side of some buildings. And here I think you just saw me there dash about. This was me just putting signs on certain buildings and just adding tiny details inside. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I think it's quite a nice place for, I think it's a nice addition to the map. Something else I did, which actually, this hasn't been filmed in the correct order, but something I did before was I added this small little building just on the tip of a hill, the other side of the dam from where the mine's going to be. And this is just like a kind of weather station or a radio tower or something, but I thought this would be quite cool. I don't know, the game Dear Esther, or however you pronounce that, a lovely, amazing indie game. One of the things I really love from that is really iconic. Throughout the whole game on the island, you just see a little radio tower, or whatever it is, an antenna or something, with a little flashing red light on top. And I really wanted to have something like that, where it's just, players all on the map can see this little weather station and think, oh, what's that? And then try and get to it. But it just breaks up the mountains a bit. So I added here little cupboards around the back. It's not that big inside, but it'll hold something. Stairs for players to run up to, and the little tower itself. Yeah, I think that looks not too bad. The final design I've actually changed a bit from that, because I wasn't happy with how the roofs look. I'm having a lot of trouble with the roofs, I don't know why. But there we go.